Hello, good afternoon, and a very warm welcome to today's webinar. Today, we're going to be looking at what's new in Sage 50 Accounts version 29. So I'll be starting off today's session. Around halfway through, we're going to pass over to Michael, who's going to go through some of the new features as well. Just before we begin though, as usual, we're just going to go through some housekeeping first of all. So firstly, you will be placed on mute. So if you do see an icon that looks like your microphone has been crossed out and is in red, don't be alarmed. That shouldn't affect your ability to hear us. It just means that you can't speak to the team directly today because we do have more than 60 of you attending today at the moment. If you do have any questions, however, you can use the questions panel, and the icon to access the questions panel looks like the question mark inside a speech bubble, and that opens up the questions panel where you can submit your questions across to the team today. Today we've got Abby and Tina also on hand for any questions that you may have. Finally, there is also a handout for today, so if you can, there is an icon with a document with the folded corner, and that's where you can download the handout for today. However, you can also access this via Sage City. So if you have any issues downloading, please do check out Sage City. There's links throughout the presentation today, and there'll also be one in the follow-up email today so that you can access it there if you have any issues downloading. Okay, great to see the questions are coming through, and that's perfectly fine. Please do submit your questions to us throughout. Don't feel you've got to wait till the end of the session. We're happy to answer them throughout today's session for you. Okay, so first of all, let's have a look at what we're going to cover. So first, we're going to have a guest speaker in the form of a video, which is from Mark Walmsley, who is our product marketing manager for Sage 50 Accounts. I'm going to then just talk very briefly around installing version 29. And then we're going to look at some of the new features. So I'm going to look at the help feature and also the Sage City requests before handing over to Michael, who will look at the cash flow management enhancements, legislation, and some of the other enhancements as well. Okay, so first of all, before we begin, I do have a very short video from our product marketing manager, Mark Walmsley.
Welcome to our Sage 50 Accounts webinar. We're excited to announce that the latest update to Sage 50 is nearly here, and today we'll provide you with an overview of the new features and enhancements brought to you in our version 29 update. We're committed to consistently updating our software and continue to invest in Sage 50 to meet your ongoing challenges and ensure Sage 50 remains your software choice to run your business. We appreciate the feedback that you, our customers, provide around how you use Sage 50, and in this webinar, you'll see that this release is no different. You asked and we listened. As ever, we will run through product demos to bring the enhancements to life and show how they can benefit you and your business. With more time-saving tools, further customization options, and introducing new cash flow management solutions, including Invoice Finance from Citago. If you have a question, don't worry. Our experts will be on hand at the end with a live Q&A session. Enjoy the webinar and thank you for your continued support.
Okay, so that was just a quick message there from our marketing manager there. So as he mentioned, we are continuing to make the way that you use Sage 50 simpler, and we have new tools to save you time and also to add some more functionality. In 28.1, we saw 22 new features based on your feedback via Sage City requests. And we have continued this in version 29 with more improvements based upon the feedback from you, our customers. So you asked and we did. One of the features is smart support at your fingertips with our new related help feature, and this provides in-product help at the click of a button. This enables you to access support and articles while simultaneously processing and completing the task in hand. Finally, we've made a range of improvements to make your accounting tasks more efficient, enable customization of your software, and also improve the productivity. So the question you're probably thinking is, when will this actually be released? So it actually went live yesterday for our accountants and partners. And from the 30th of January, so that's this coming Monday, it will be a gradual release to our customers. Now, links can be found within your software on the home page, or we also have it on our Sage Accounts update site, and that's www.sage.co.uk/au. So if you're a customer, then that will be available to you from Monday onwards. You may also be prompted to update via your software, so that could be that you get an auto update message, or via our usual methods of email if that's how you receive your notifications from us. Now, where can you access support with installing the update? So if you have any issues installing, or you just want a little bit more guidance and peace of mind, then we do have our install hub, which is sage.co.uk/install. And as always, our Sage Help Centre will be updated with all of the new features on sage.co.uk/help. Okay, so it's time to start looking at some of these new features for you. So I'm going to be looking at the new improved help feature, first of all, which we're going to demonstrate in just a moment. But this new help feature has basically been designed to unlock the help within your software, provide you support, and elevate your performance. So this should provide you with the help that you need, how you need it, and all in one place. So regardless of where you are in your software, you're now going to have access to this new help feature within the software. This help is actually related to the area of the software that you're working in. So this means that the help that you're going to receive will be targeted and relevant. What's also great about this is that the window can remain open whilst you continue to process as well. So we'll show you that in action now. Okay, so that's us just in version 29 there, first of all. So we're in version 29, and at the top what you can see is we have a new banner, and this new banner exists in most modules within the software. So as I'm scrolling through there, you can see that this new banner is in each window. I'm going to go down to transactions to demonstrate this a little bit further for you. If we click on help within the new banner, this launches the new help feature for you. And what that does is it opens up in the same place each time on the right hand side, and it takes up around 25% of your screen. What it's doing now is it's brought up articles relevant to the window I'm in. So I'm in transactions. You can see it's brought up articles around the transaction module and how to use the search features there. If I can't find what I need to do, however, I can use the help, the search option at the top. If we scroll down a little bit further, however, you can also see other options for getting some additional help elsewhere. So we've got a link to Sage City where we have our online community, and further down, all of your resources for contacting our support teams as well. So I'm just going to go back to the top, and we are going to use the search feature here. So for example, if I can't see what I'm looking for immediately, I can just type into here what I'm searching for. So I'm just going to type in error corrections. What that will do now is just search for all of the articles relating to error corrections for me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to follow this one here to how do I correct an audit trail transaction, just so I can demonstrate this in full for you. And transactions is a common window where people need to follow steps, and there's things that they need to check before they can commit to making a correction to one of their transactions. So as you can see here, I've got an article talking me through the steps for correcting an audit trail transaction. So we're just going to work through these steps as though we want to correct a sales invoice. So I need to select customer, and I'm going to delete the sales invoice. So I'm going to select delete here. So what that's now doing is it's giving me some step-by-step instructions. And the first step it's telling me to do is to actually navigate away from transactions and move into a different part of the software. So what's great about this is this window will remain open even though I'm working in the software. So if we followed step one and go into settings, company preferences, I can follow the steps within a different window. It's just opened elsewhere, apologies. So uncheck the steps and then continue on to step 2. So it's really useful if I've got step-by-step process that I must follow to have that window open at the same time as I'm completing the task in hand. Now, this isn't just on the main module windows. What you'll find it is in other areas of the software too. So for example, if we go into batch invoice, you can see I've got the help option here. And again, all of the help that's loading up is relevant to batch invoicing. And also within invoices and credits is another great example here. So if I just go into one of these invoices, remember in invoicing, we've got several different tabs as well. So it's offering me help immediately on this invoice here. But if I want to go into each individual tab and click help, it's relevant to the area that I'm in. So it's actually giving me help and support on that particular tab. So this is also available elsewhere. It's available in areas like user management, invoices and credits, orders, etc. So a really useful feature for loading up help whilst you're processing within the software and able to follow step by step. So I'm just going to pop back onto the PowerPoint. Okay, and I also have the pleasure today of going through some of the Sage City requests that we've added into version 29 as well. So as Mark mentioned earlier, you asked and we did. So we've acted upon some of the top requests submitted by you, our customers. And these include customization to fit your business needs. So we've increased the characters that we've got in product descriptions and part numbers, and also simplification of your day-to-day tasks. And this is with improved search functionality, automatic VAT calculation on recurring items, and also some gross columns added to batch processing screens. So I'm going to demonstrate these now just to bring those to life for you there. So back into version 29. And the first one we're going to look at is the improved search capabilities there. So to demonstrate this one, I'm going to go into my customer module. And I'm going to go in as though I'm processing a batch invoice. And here I'm going to go into the account reference. So immediately what you should see is we now have the ability to search within here. And when we apply a search, it's no longer just looking at the account reference and name, it looks across the entire record. So just as an example, say for example, I've just been speaking to someone called John, and I can't really remember off the top of my head what the company was, but I know that the minute I see the company name, I'll recognize it. What I can do is just type in the name John and do a search. Now, some of these are obvious because they've got the name in them there, but the rest of them aren't necessarily clear why it's picked up John. But that's immediately reminded me that he was in fact from the Swan Leisure Centre. And I can continue to process. So if we were to save that or close out of it and have a look at our customer list, what we can then do is see why it's picked up Swan Leisure Centre. And we can see that in the contact column, we do in fact have a contact of John. So it's searched through an entire record, not just the reference or the customer or company name. So really useful for searching through in various areas of the software. In addition, we have also added the search option to other areas, including nominals, departments, and the project module as well. And again, that's all based on your feedback to Sage City and the requests that you have submitted. So that's the improved search capabilities. Next, we're going to look at batch invoicing again, but we're going to look at something slightly different because we've now added a gross column onto the batch entry windows. So I'll pop back into the batch invoice window and say, for example, we put a value into the net column, pop on a T1, it automatically pops the VAT on top. And what you may need to do is you may need to give a full quote of the gross figure, or you might be cross-referencing this with another figure elsewhere. But what we now have is the gross column, which automatically calculates for us based on the net and the VAT. Now, this is a read-only column, so I can't actually get into there to amend it, but it is based upon these two figures added together. So really good, like I say, if you're trying to do a quote for a customer and they want the gross figure, you don't need to do the manual maths. You can do this within the software, so that improves the accuracy and also automates your processing a little. Going along the same theme, our next one is to calculate the net on recurring items. Now, recurring items might not be a feature that you've come across before. If not and you're interested, we have done sessions before on recurring items, so you'll be able to find a recording on our recordings page. But lots of people do use recurring items and may have several set up on a regular basis. Let's go into the bank module to show this particular feature. So I'm in the bank module there, and I'm just going to go into recurring items. As you can see, I've got some recurring items already set up. But if I was to add a new recurring item, say for example, I want to do a regular bank payment, then I can set this up. I'm just going to quickly set one here for materials purchase, for example. So the nominal code, again, I'm going to demonstrate the first feature there I showed you. I'm just going to do a quick search for materials, and that's just filtered down out of 155. I'd normally have to scroll through. I've only got 2 now to choose from. But that's not what we're here for at the moment, and that's just reiterating that great feature there. But what we're looking at now is towards the bottom here. So it may be that a supplier or someone we're dealing with has given us a gross figure, and we want to split that down into net and tax. So if I was to say put £100 in and use the T1 tax code, automatically what that does is it adds the VAT on top of that £100. Now, if we were told that that £100 was actually the gross figure prior to version 29.1, what we'd need to do is work that out externally and then put the net and VAT split in. With version 29.1, we can remove that step and we've got the calculate net option. So that makes life a lot easier. I can click calculate net. It does the maths for me and automatically populates those windows for me. So great time saver, and also improves the accuracy of the calculations in the software there. I'm just going to come out of there for the moment. We won't worry about saving that. Okay, so the next one we're going to show you there is around improved customization of your software. And this again might be a feature that you haven't used yet. It might be something you're wanting to find out a bit more on. And again, we have done a session on what we're going to cover just next, which is the analysis fields. So within your software, you do have 3 analysis fields, which you can customize to suit your business needs. In addition, you can also use 3 customer or supplier email addresses. Within version 29.1, we've actually increased that from 3 to up to 6, so giving you further customization of your data. So first of all, to show you this, I'm going to show you where you can configure these first. So if I go into settings and configuration, within here, we're looking at 2 tabs in particular, one being custom fields. And apologies, it's just opened on the other screen, just bring that across. So if I pop into custom fields, you can see in my customer and supplier records, I have up to 6 analysis fields. Now, if these haven't been altered, they normally have the names of analysis 1, 2, 3, etc. However, you can rename these. So it might be that you want to rename these for items that you want to report on for your business. So as the example and demonstration data gives us, we've got things like the region, the customer type, etc. Now we also have the email tab in here. And again, we used to have 3 emails, we now have up to 6 emails. And again, these can be renamed so that they pull through into the records, not showing email 1. In my case, it's going to show sales, and email 2 as purchases. So that's in configuration. To show you where they are on the record, if I pop into customers, it's exactly the same in suppliers. If I just pop into A1 design first on the list, and first of all, on the first screen, the details you can see there, I have 6 email addresses, and the first 2 are pulling through the name that I configured within the configuration settings. If we pop into the defaults tab, then we've got the custom fields. So as you can see here, there's the names that we've specified ourselves. This one hasn't been renamed yet. And we can use these for reporting purposes and also for filters, etc. So again, that's a really good way of just configuring your software to be a little bit more suitable for your business and the needs that you have for reporting. Okay, so that brings me to the final feature that I'm going to demonstrate today, and that is around the product records. Okay, so for this one, no live demonstration on this one, just because it's a tricky one to try and demonstrate for you. But with version 29.1, we now have the ability to increase the number of characters in your product description and in your product part number. So in the description, which is this one here within a product record, it used to have only 60 characters. That means only 60 characters could be pulled through onto things like your invoices and your orders. Now you have up to 120 characters, which means that you can put far more information on there. Again, helps you to configure and personalize your invoices and orders. We also have the product part number, and that's been increased to 60 characters, and it was previously 16. And again, these are all around the feedback that you, our customers, have submitted to Sage City. That takes us on to enhanced cash flow management. So it's now time for me to pass over to Michael. He's going to take you through the rest. I'm going to jump onto the questions. So in the meantime, thank you very much, and over to you, Michael.
Thank you, Jackie. Hopefully everyone can hear me. I had a bit bother with my microphone while I was waiting there. So I'm going to take you through the second part of today's demonstration. We're going to start by looking at some of the enhancements that will support you with cash flow management in Sage 50 accounts. The first one I'm going to look at is a nice simple feature, this one, and it may be something that doesn't impact on you directly, but it will have an impact. And it's invoice layouts that will include bank details. So there's a couple of layouts now included by default in the software that by default will pull through the bank details from the bank record. It's a very common thing that people contact our support team about as well. How can I add that on? Just so you're providing that information by default. It just means by providing that information, it's easier for your customers to pay you. They're not having to contact you for that information separately. So you're just providing that information up front. If you are using your own layout and it isn't included, it is very easy to add that information in. But as I say, we've included a couple of layouts that do include that information by default. Let me just quickly show you that one, just to quickly get that one out of the way. So I'll share my screen. We'll pop into invoices and credits. And what I'll do is we'll just pick on this one. If I go into the print area, into layouts, we just need to find a one then that includes bank details. So I can find a one, there's a one there. So I just select that one, preview it. And if I just scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that the bank details are pulled through automatically. One thing to note on this as well, someone mentioned the first time we ran this session that what if you got multiple bank accounts, and depending on what you're invoicing for, you might want your customer to pay into a specific bank account. So something to be aware of is that when you are generating your invoice, if you go into the payment tab, the bank account number is there. So that's the bank account where it will pull the information from that specific bank record. If you want to change it, you can do at that point. If the invoice has been updated to the ledgers, you can't then change that. You'll find this option is grayed out. Well, by default, this will pick up your default bank account, which is set within settings and control accounts. But you can always change it at any point. So a nice simple one, that one. So again, might not impact you directly. You might already have your bank details being pulled through. You may have gone through that process, but with it being such a common query, it does mean that there are going to be less calls to our support team, which in turn means that it should be that much easier if you do need to contact our support team. Right, let's pop back to the slides and we'll move on. So not just my headset that's playing up now, it is also my mouse that's playing up at the moment. So let's see if we can get around that one. Right, okay, let's quickly move on then. So we'll pop onto the next slide And I want to talk a little bit about invoice payments, and I've got a little video that I'm going to play for you in just a second as well. Now, if you've not come across the invoice payment service before, it's essentially a way of if you email out your invoices, you have the option to include a pay now button on your invoices, and it means that customers can click that and they can pay you direct. So they can pay you online, and that information would automatically download into your account. So it's quite a slick process, that one. So all you do is you enter the invoice and email it out. You don't have to process anything within Sage itself with regard to the receipts. So customer pays you online, it downloads into your software. Now there are two enhancements to this area, and I'm going to play a little video for you in just a second so you can see what these look like. But the two options are, you now have the ability, or the customer will now have the ability to make a partial payment. So previously it was a full payment or nothing. So there is now an option to make a partial payment. And that does mean that things like disputed items, returns against invoices, they don't get in the way of this option of a customer making a payment to you. So you don't need to then credit out the full invoice and send another one out for the new value. Customer can just make that part payment. The other one is settlement discount as well. So if you do offer settlement discount, when making a payment in full, the settlement discount will be taken into account, and so no manual calculations involved for your customer in that respect. It just spells it out. This is the value that's actually due. So as I say, we've got a little video that we're going to play for you now. So I'll set that going, and I'll come back to you live in just a couple of minutes.
Invoice Payments is a great feature for providing online payment links on invoices for your customers when using Stripe or PayPal. This makes the process quick and easy for your customers to pay on time. And when Invoice Payments is activated, you can email the invoice to your customers with an integrated Pay Now button. Invoices can be emailed directly from the Invoices window if you've set up the default layout to one including the integrated link. Or you can generate the preview and select the email invoice with Invoice Payments option. From here you can preview or send to your customer via email. When your customer receives the email invoice, they can use the Pay Now option at the bottom of the invoice to make an instant payment direct to your Stripe or PayPal account. These transactions can then be downloaded directly from your provider into your data and allocated to the invoice they relate to. In version 29, there have been improvements to invoice payments to allow partial payments of invoices and to account for any settlement discount applied. Now, when a customer selects the Pay Now button, they have the option to pay the invoice in full or to make a partial payment. Once the part payment is made, the confirmation demonstrates the invoice value and the amount still due. If the customer was to click on the Pay Now option again, then only the remaining value would be displayed under the full amount. However, there is still the option to make a further part payment. Now let's take a look at what this looks like in Sage 50 accounts after syncing with Invoice Payments. As you can see, the sales receipt has been created for the part payment and a bank payment for the related fees involved. In addition, Invoice Payments can now account for settlement discount if you've entered this into the customer records within the Credit Control tab. When the Pay Now option is selected within the settlement discount period, the discount is automatically applied to the transaction. As you can see, after the transaction is downloaded from Invoice Payments, the sales receipt is posted, and we have two sales credit notes, one for each item line of the invoice, and again we have the bank payment for the related fees. Finally, settlement discount is only applied when the invoice is paid in full. If you opt to part pay, no settlement discount is deducted. When you go back in to pay off the remainder of the invoice, again you can see the settlement discount is no longer showing.
Okay, so I'm back with you live at that point. So hopefully that's given you a little bit of an insight into invoice payments. Loads of information available within our help center if anyone is interested. And also within your software, if you just go to apps and add-ons, which is an option on your navigation bar on the left. So it's towards the top. If you click on that, you'll also find information about the invoice payment service if you want to find out more. Right, let's move on. And the next area we're going to look at is invoice finance. Now, you're probably going to hear quite a bit about this service over the coming months. In association with Satago, you now have access to fast, flexible finance directly from within your software. And via this service, it enables you to get an advance of money tied up in your customer invoices. So you can actually have an advance of up to 85% of an invoice value through the service. Now, I mentioned it's fast, it's flexible, so potentially funds could be with you within 24 hours. And the flexibility-wise is that you'll be able to choose. So there's no long-term contracts or anything like that. You can pick and choose which invoices you want to finance. Now, we're not going to run a live demo of this one today, but we are planning. We have these in the pipeline. They're not available to book onto just yet, but we do have potentially some webinars that we're going to run towards the end of next month. So we're just waiting to find out a little bit more information about those before we make them available to book onto. So the integration wise as well, it's directly from within your Sage accounts. You'll have a new invoice finance option once you subscribe to the service, and it just lets you straight in there. So within the Satago portal, it will give you a list of eligible invoices. So again, that's where the flexibility and the speed comes in. You'll be able to go into it. It'll give you a list of eligible invoices, and you can choose which of the invoices you want to raise finance against. Again, to get started, once you're on version 29, just go into the apps and add-ons option, which again is available on your toolbar on the left, and you'll find out more information about that. And as I say, keep an eye out for webinars, which we're hoping to start towards the end of February as well. Let's move on then. And next, we're going to take a quick look at an update for compliance. Always a bit of a 50-50 this one with how we pronounce this one. It's EORI, or I refer to it as an EORI number. I hear other people refer to it as an EORI number, which obviously I can't say. So to be compliant with prospectus legislation, the EORI number needs to be stored on customer and supplier delivery addresses. So we just added the additional box. You'll find that if you go into edit an address within addresses and contacts, which is you'll find directly from within the customer or supplier, or even your own company record as well. You have that option available to you. Now, addresses and contacts is an option that you don't have available to you if anyone is on the essentials level of the software. But let me just quickly point you in the right direction so you can see where, for those of you on the standard or professional levels, where you would have that available to you. So we'll go back to my screen, just close out of that one. Might as well go into a customer record, just select a record, and in the addresses and contacts option, let's just maximize that one. So in the addresses and contacts, which is attached to the registered address area, just give it a click, and it'll list the addresses that you've got set up, if any, and we'll just edit one of the existing ones, and you'll see you've got that new field there. It's going to be in a similar position if you access addresses and contacts via the suppliers area, or indeed your own company area as well. So nice simple change, that one, but again, just to maintain that compliance, that field has been added. Let's put back to the slides again then, and we'll move on to some of the other enhancements. So the first one, and it's very difficult, well, just about impossible for me to demonstrate this one to you. It's the ledger refresh option. So you'll find on version 29 at the top of most of the ledgers now that you will have a new refresh button. So it's been added to most modules. And this will make sure that the data that you're looking at is up to date. So it's a simple way to refresh your ledgers. Also on the back of that as well, if you're more used to refreshing, let's say a web page, for instance, you can press F5. So you've got the two options now to refresh the information you're looking at. And to give you an example of what I mean by that, I'm going to take a scenario where you're on a network, and this is probably the only scenario where you would need to use it, where you are on a multi-user version. So we're going to say we've got two users, let's say yourself and you've got a colleague. So yourself, you're entering an invoice, and we're going to say you save the invoice and it lists it as invoice number 54 as an example. That's fine, you see it on your list. Anyone else on your Sage accounts going into the invoices and credits module will then also see invoice 54 because it reads the information at that point. But let's say that user, your colleague, goes in and they generate an invoice and save it. They've got invoice 55. However, on your list, it's still only going to go up to invoice 54 at this stage because you haven't refreshed that list. Now, easy way, just click refresh or press F5 and it would reread the information and pull it through. And that just saves you maybe closing out of the invoicing module and coming back in. So if you're about to run reports or analyze it or maybe send the records, whether it's a list of your customers or anything like that, across to the likes of Excel or run reports, just click the refresh option or press F5 on your keyboard and it will refresh that information to make sure that you've always got that based on the all the real-time balances and records that you've got there. Next is a very popular one as well. Now, in version 28.1, I'm not sure if any of you actually came along to those webinars. They were very popular as well. So myself and Jackie have started running these sessions on when the new versions are released. So in version 28.1, on some of the messaging that pops up when you're using Sage accounts, so it might be, and the example I'm going to give you in a moment is the warning when you're going to generate an invoice. So you might be familiar with certain messages, such as terms of not being agreed with this account. So in version 28.1, there was a number of areas where if you are accessing an invoice that's already been posted to the ledgers, we added the little checkbox, don't show again. And it's quite a common one on the back of sort of people having access to that a lot of requests went into Sage City just to, can you extend that functionality to other messages within the software? So we've added into 5 areas, the terms agreed message that you probably, if any of the messages that are listed today, that would be the one that you're probably aware of the most. So when you go to access a customer or supplier record, it comes up, terms have not been agreed with this account. You just click OK and it disappears. But you've now got the option to don't show again. So you tick that, just click OK. It'll stop that message reappearing time and time again. Of course, it's a quick fix just to hide the message. The other fix is to obviously go into the record itself and select the checkbox to say, right, I have agreed terms with this. But let's have a quick look at that. So again, we go back to my screen. We just close out of there. We'll go into invoices and credits. I'll just choose a new invoice. Select the customer. And when I select that customer, I get that warning pop up. Terms have not been agreed with this account. So nice simple fix now. I just tick the box, click OK. And what it means is that specific message, that terms have not been agreed with this account, it's not going to pop up every time I come across a record, a customer in this case, in that position. So let's just close out of that one. No changes to save. We'll just go back in, select the same customer, just OK that one, and this time we don't get the message. So you haven't got that message popping up, just sort of, I suppose, disrupting your workflow. So as I say, that's been extended to five messaging areas in version 29. If I just get my mouse to work again and go back to the slides. So terms agreed message that we just looked at, sales order status. If you go into a sales order, that's maybe already been completed. Processing outside the financial year as well. So that's the one that's not to be confused where you've been able to pause that message for transactions with what would be within your next financial year. if you've gone actually beyond that financial year as well, that message would have still popped up, and that's what that processing outside the financial year message refers to. And also when accessing credit charges or the contract entries option, if you've got the foreign trader option activated within your software. Alison, you're just asking there, the don't show again message, is it user specific? It will be specific to your PC, basically, that one. So if you want to get rid of the message, you find it quite annoying, but actually your colleague's not bothered, it will be specific to your PC. It's one of those, when you tick the box, it updates a setting within your Windows registry. So others potentially would still get that message. Just be a case, if they didn't want to see it, they would just select the checkbox and click OK as well. So it's not data specific, that setting. Hope that makes sense. Right. And also, just to quickly mention some of the other enhancements as well. I'm not going to run through these, but there is loads of information now available within our help center, and you'll be finding out more about them in the coming weeks and months, particularly if you do upgrade. So simple things such as the new Sage branding, you'll see that just about throughout the software again, so you'll see it as part of the installer, etc. We've also removed features that rely on Internet Explorer. So as you access things like help or things like the roadmap, etc. within the software, it will no longer look for Internet Explorer. Obviously, as you know, Internet Explorer hasn't been supported for quite some time. So it will now pick up your default browser, finally. Also, removal of some features as well. Now, always sounds a bit strange, that one, saying one of the enhancements to the software is removal of a feature, but things like the accountants link feature, a feature that was rarely used, that one. So almost like an option as well that's been superseded by other options such as remote data access. So if anyone did use the accountants link feature, and as I say, research will tell us that next to no one used that feature these days, we would encourage you to switch across to using remote data access instead. But so, number of features in there, do take a good look through that. If you downloaded the handouts, they'll be listed, and again, you'll find information within the help center in relation to these as well. Now, today has just been a little bit of a taste of what's to come with version 29. Now, if you're an accountant or business partner, I think Jackie mentioned this at the beginning, version 29 should have been available as of yesterday. And for our normal customers, or normal end users, it will be available from the 30th, which is that Monday next week. So just about imminent there as well. So loads of fantastic features and improvements on the way. Many of the improvements, as mentioned, are as a result of your feedback and ideas submitted to Sage City. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that in a moment as to how you can get involved in that. And obviously, when the update becomes available, if you keep an eye out for in-product messaging, automatic updates, messaging being available, and also emails as well. And then you'll start seeing information about that, so you'll be able to get that downloaded and installed. Now, if you do want to get involved, so we mentioned Sage City quite a bit, and I'm sure everyone that's used Sage for any length of time, there'll be things that you think, oh, I wish it could only do this, or what if it worked in this way, or what about this? This is a good idea. If it sort of almost like kill two birds with one stone when you click on an option. So if there was a save and print option within invoicing, for instance, might just save you an extra click here and then. Sometimes those little features, those little changes are the biggest wins. It's what people are after. So if there's anything like that, please get involved. Access the roadmap, which you can do from within your software. I'll show you that one in just a moment. So there's the home page within the software. You'll find it at the top of the navigation bar on the left. From the roadmap, you can view the timeline, so you can see what features have been delivered and when. So if you've maybe not upgraded for a few versions, or maybe you just want to have a look through that to see, is there anything I missed? Then have a look through that delivered area. So see the timeline, see what's coming next, see what we're working on. But there's also your opportunity to have your say as well. So if you've got any ideas for improvements, or maybe you want to view other people's ideas and you can vote on those as well, then have a look in the roadmap. It's really easy to access. Let's just quickly pop back to my screen just to show you what you would do. So if I just get back to the main screen there, I don't need to save those changes. So home page is this option, top left corner. It's been around for quite some time, that home option. You've also got the option on your home page, and yours may look a little bit different. I'm obviously in version 29 today, but for quite some time, you've had the free webinars panel. So if you're looking to register for other webinars, maybe it's your first one with us, or maybe you think your colleagues would benefit as well, get them to click on that home page. You've got your free webinars, click more info, and that will bring up a list and give you a list of the sessions that are coming up. But coming back to the roadmap, all we need to do is scroll down, and on the left here, we've got the link to the roadmap. And that will bring up a screen equivalent to what I was just looking at on the slide a moment ago. So in here, you can see the features that have been delivered. You've got what's coming soon, and obviously the features that we're working on. And also you've got your link here, so you can give it a click. It'll take you across to Sage City. You'll be able to start viewing the options. So you can see a few of them on there at the moment, and you can start giving it a click. You will need to have a log on if you want to add your weight to or vote for an option, but nice and easy to do that. Also for Sage City as well, just while we're on the back of that, so you'll start seeing additional options on the back of webinars as well. So we do provide some Sage City links now on the follow-up email. The links will give you access to the Sage City post, where you can access the recordings of webinars, handouts, and also where you can view some of the common question and answers that we've had on the sessions. So that will be included on your follow-up email, which you receive round about an hour after we finish today. But as I say, if you want to get involved, do take advantage of that one. I think our very first session we had, someone did actually spot one of their suggestions, so adding the search option into the projects module, and they were delighted with that. So it might be something quite minor, but it could also be a big feature as well. Anyway, coming back to the slides, and there's loads of information about Sage membership included in the handout if you've gone down that route, if you've got a copy of that one. If you haven't downloaded your handout yet, just click the link on the toolbar down the right hand side. You'll be able to do that. If you don't get a chance, just watch out for your follow-up email, and again it will be available via the Sage City post. So Sage membership, just to give you a little bit of background to Sage membership, it's not just about your software. There's loads of other great benefits available to you as well as a Sage member. So just to give you an idea, you've got access to obviously the member masterclasses, which is you may have heard of in the last few months, being promoted quite heavily. Little videos on running your business, increasing productivity. So it's all about more business advice in those sessions rather than advice about your software. So something a little bit different, so you can take advantage of that one. Learning, Sage University, community forums via Sage City, and obviously you've got advice to award-winning support, etc. So if you have downloaded the handouts, they've got links at the bottom there, so you can take advantage of those as well. Some of the upcoming webinars, we are running a session tomorrow morning on making tax digital, the new penalties that are being introduced for 2023. So Jackie and a number of my colleagues will be running through that one. If you haven't yet registered for that one, obviously still time, the recording will be made available for that afterwards as well. But you may have seen that one advertised if you've gone into Sage 50 accounts today. The pop-up message that appears, it will include the link. If you haven't seen that, you can always go back to that home page within your software that we showed you, click the free webinars, or watch out for your follow-up email, which you receive in around about an hour after we finish the session this afternoon. Loads of other live sessions coming up, concentrating on emailing throughout the month of February. So we're looking at emailing invoices, statements, going a bit more in depth into those, clearing records, which we're running through at the moment. But the usual culprits of running VAT returns, year ends, bank reconciliation, getting the most from bank feeds within your software as well. So loads of sessions planned in that you can already register for if you are interested. If you can't attend those sessions, recordings will be made available as well. So that brings us to the end of the session, and we love your thoughts on the webinar, what you've seen today. Any ideas you have for improving the webinar, anything you want to share with us, there will be a little short survey pop up as you leave today. If you can take a minute just to pop a couple of comments on there, rate the webinar, etc., that would be greatly appreciated. We love reading those comments, so share your thoughts with us. As we mentioned, the follow-up email, you will receive that in around about an hour's time. Links on there to register for future webinars and to watch recordings. Also, the link for today's session will be available on that for Sage City. We can find out more answers to some of the common questions and answers. So we're starting to make those readily available now. Right, any questions for myself, Abby, Jackie, or Tina? Just give it a minute. I think we're bang up to just with we seem to have answered all of them so far, I think. So if you've got any questions that you want to pop in there, we'll try our best to pick those up before we leave. But if anyone is leaving, again, if you can take just that minute to complete that survey, greatly appreciated. But if you're leaving, take care, stay safe, and hopefully we'll see you on some of the other sessions as well. If you've got any suggestions for topics you'd like to see covered as well, if you pop that on the survey as well. So we're always on the lookout for ideas of whether it's topics or features within your software, what would you like to learn more about? So anything and everything, pop it on there. Right, we don't have any additional questions there. If you do think of any afterwards, please get them submitted across to us, or do check out the information in the Help Centre or get in touch with our support team. But for now, we'll bid you goodbye. So again, thanks for coming along. Take care, stay safe, and hopefully we'll see you again. Many thanks.